Excel is an extremely powerful tool for real estate financial modeling and analysis, and while the functions and even the basic calculations in Excel are often the main focus, a lot of people tend to underutilize some of the other most powerful features of the software that can make both building and using real estate financial models significantly easier. These things aren't functions, calculations, or even keyboard shortcuts, but instead features of Excel that you can implement into a pro forma model that can make the template much easier to work within, especially if you're part of a team with multiple different users. So to make sure that you are getting everything you can out of Excel, in this video we'll cover 3 of my favorite Excel features outside of just general functions and keyboard shortcuts that can significantly improve a model and can help you work faster, more efficiently, and with less chance of manual error. So the first tool on this list is something that I use in essentially every real estate financial model that I build, and this is custom number formatting. Custom number formatting can be used by holding down Control and hitting 1 at the same time to bring up the Format Cells window and then clicking on the Number tab, and under Category, clicking on Custom and then writing a custom format within the type bar in this window, often in the form of text in quotation marks and then the number 0 alongside that text. And what custom number formatting allows you to do is to either add text to a cell alongside numerical values or replace numerical values entirely with text without making adjustments to the actual inputs within a cell itself, which has a lot of benefits for modeling purposes, especially when you're working within a complex pro forma with a lot of moving pieces. One of my favorite places to use this is with manual inputs in a model, specifically assumptions related to time periods expressed in months or years, especially when referring to things like hold periods or lease term assumptions that could be unclear without this, or even timelines within monthly cash flow projections, labeling the year number, the month number, and sometimes even the quarter number that each cash flow is projected to occur. And the reason why this is so important is because if you want to reference an input or even an output within another formula in the model, Excel cannot run addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division calculations with text in a cell, meaning that writing the text 120 months within the formula bar is going to produce errors if other calculations refer to this cell. But with custom number formatting, this allows you to add only the numerical value in the formula bar itself while also showing the text alongside of or in place of that number in the cell directly, which lets you display this in the exact way that you want to without creating errors throughout the pro forma. This is also really helpful when calculating metrics like the debt service coverage ratio or the equity multiple on a deal, since both of these often include an X at the end of these values, but also need to be dynamic calculations that adjust automatically when other assumptions are changed. Ultimately, custom number formatting can make a model significantly clearer and easier to use overall, especially if you're working with someone who isn't familiar with your template, and gives you a lot of flexibility as far as how your model is going to be designed. Now, in addition to custom number formatting, another one of my favorite tools in Excel that's often used in conjunction with custom formatting itself is another feature that can make manual inputs in a model significantly easier to use, and this is creating drop-down lists. A drop-down list can be added to Excel by going to the Data tab and clicking on the Data Validation button, or just by hitting Alt-AVV as a shortcut, and this will allow you to set a validation criteria that can restrict the potential inputs that can be used within the cells that you've selected. By default, Excel is going to set the validation criteria of every cell in a workbook to allow any value, but if you switch this to list, this lets you specify only certain values a user can choose from and then restrict those inputs to only that list. This can be done by either typing text into the source input manually with each different option separated by a comma. So for example, yes, comma, no, if you wanted to create a yes and no drop-down list, or by selecting an array of cells in another part of the workbook entirely with the values that you want to use listed in that array. In my experience, using drop-down lists is one of the best ways to reduce manual error within a pro forma, especially when the model is going to be circulated among users that aren't familiar with the template itself, since these make manual input errors virtually impossible to make in these cells, and if someone does mistype a value, Excel will immediately show an error message that will prevent that user from making that change. This is really helpful when you have several different text values in a model that a user can choose from. So for example, choosing between monthly, quarterly, or annual distributions with that text feeding directly into an if statement that's going to drive the rest of the calculations throughout the pro forma. And this can also be extremely helpful when you want to restrict an input to only certain numerical values. So for example, something like a maximum hold period the model can support. Especially in bigger templates where you have a lot of formulas referencing each other, any opportunity you have to reduce the chance of human error is going to be extremely helpful, and especially when using something like custom formatting, which an end user of the template might not be familiar with. This can be a great tool to use to add guardrails around your inputs and proactively prevent errors. Now, the last tool that I want to feature in this video often incorporates both custom formatting and drop-down lists, and is a great way to get a model back up and running quickly if you're seeing error messages in your template that just won't go away, and this is a circuit breaker. Many real estate financial models will inherently include one or more circular references where a formula ultimately refers to itself within the workbook, often related to sale prices and assessed property value changes, construction loan proceeds and capitalized interest, or operating expense reimbursements that help calculate but are also calculated by a property's effective gross income. And even though Excel's iterative calculation setting will almost always make sure that these models can run correctly, you might still end up running into issues with iterative calculation enabled when error messages in the model just won't go away even after the original issue has already been corrected. This can often happen when a text value is mistyped or Excel tries to divide a number by 0, effectively getting Excel stuck in an infinite loop and creating error messages that just won't go away even after the original error is resolved, which can lead to a lot of confusion and frustration for an end model user, especially if you're sharing your template with clients or partners. And how a circuit breaker can help with this is that this essentially creates a trigger that tells Excel to temporarily zero out the formulas in the model that contain these circular references, usually using a very simple if statement to turn this on and off within a drop-down list that can reset the model and get the calculations back up and running quickly and easily. Especially if you're working with people who might not be advanced Excel users, this is an extremely helpful tool to prevent these people from having to run a deep dive audit into the template whenever error messages pop up, and provides a clear on and off switch that only requires 1 or 2 clicks to fix the model in the case that something is entered incorrectly and the model needs to be reset. Overall, there are a ton of tools that Excel provides that can make your modeling significantly easier, but these are the 3 that I tend to use most often on a day-to-day basis. And if you want to make your models more error-proof, more visually appealing, and more user-friendly overall, these are 3 things that I'd highly recommend incorporating into your pro forma templates. And if you want to learn more about real estate financial modeling in Excel and the functions and the shortcuts that can help you pass an Excel modeling exam that might be given to you when you're interviewing for roles at top real estate investment, development, or brokerage firms, as always, make sure to check out our all-in-one membership training platform, Breaking a CRE Academy. A membership to the Academy will give you instant access to over 120 hours of video training on real estate financial modeling and analysis. You'll get access to hundreds of practice Excel interview exam questions, sample acquisition case studies, and you'll also get access to the Breaking a CRE Analyst Certification exam, which covers topics like real estate pro forma and development modeling, commercial real estate lease modeling, equity waterfall modeling, and many other real estate financial analysis concepts that will help you prove to employers that you have what it takes to tackle the responsibilities of an analyst or associate at a top real estate firm. And if you like this video and you want to see more content on this channel on Excel tips and tricks, make sure to hit the like button and let me know. And let me know in the comments any other Excel features that you use regularly that make your models either easier to build or easier to use. As always, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to see more videos like this every single week, and I'll see you in the next video.